Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ross McKechnie, and I'm welcome to this session about Greater Anglia. I'm here today to present to you how Greater Anglia is using space optimization to grow revenue from our assets from a retail point of view. So I'll be showing you a series of slides, a series of dashboards, should I say, as well as an entire project that was behind this and how we achieved revenue growth through space optimization. So a quick agenda for today. I'll do an introduction of who Greater Anglia are, what we're about. I explain how Greater Anglia has driven revenue through using Tableau and has made smart decisions on the basis of the information gained from it. I'll then show you the outcome of the project and the benefits it's provided to Greater Anglia as a company. We'll then have a question and answer session at the end. So some of you may be aware of Greater Anglia and in fact may have used our service today. For those of you that don't know who Greater Anglia are, we're a train operating company that provides services to the East Anglia region. We operate trains out of London Liverpool Street to Cambridge, Norwich, Colchester and Ipswich and intermediate stations. So we've operated the Greater Anglia franchise since 2012, which was then re-awarded to us in 2016 following a successful bid by the Abellio Group. So we're the first train operating company to be awarded a full repairing 99-year lease from Network Rail for the management and maintenance of the station portfolio. So Greater Anglia in numbers, we have around about 154 stations across the UK in the East Anglia region. We have 100 million passengers per year use our services and 350 trains in operations. So the footfall at our station varies significantly from our lowest, which is Shippey Hill. It only has 12 users per year, would you believe it? And Cambridge Station, which has around 11 million users per year. So quite a vast difference there. This highlights the need to have a clear understanding of where we can and cannot drive revenue through space optimization, although the numbers do speak for themselves sometimes. So a quick introduction about myself. Having studied property management at university in Glasgow many years ago, I've been working as a portfolio manager for Greater Anglia for the last 6 years. I have past experience with Network Rail and previous surveying firms. So I'm responsible for managing over 300 tenants across the East Anglia region. Aside from my day-to-day management of the estate, one of my key responsibilities is to increase commercial revenue through tenant selection and advise on the specific retail needs for each station. One of the biggest challenges in my job is the size of the region that we cover. However, it does help that you don't have to travel far once you actually have reached your destination. So having inherited the portfolio from previous managing agents over the years, we've experienced difficulty in our data sources. As we have no set format of information, time is often wasted searching our shared drive for a measurement of a room, for example. So our goal as a business, having been awarded the new franchise in 2016, the bid team kindly set out some challenging committed obligations to us. These obligations are a commitment to the Department for Transport to say what we will deliver if you award us a franchise. If these are not met in a set time period, penalties can be incurred, or even worse, the franchise can be renegotiated. As it says on the screen, we are tasked with growing retail revenue by 100% in the next 6 years, which is no easy task. Having been given this challenge, we quickly realised that we were not where we needed to be to achieve this goal, as the systems we had in place were not sufficient. So one of the main challenges we had was, having been tasked with this goal, it was really apparent from the off how difficult it would be to achieve this using our current systems with data in so many different formats and how this information can be collated. What we really needed was one solution which would allow our team to make key decisions in good time. Bear in mind we have 6 years to deliver this. So some of the difficulties that we have as a business, which I'm sure other businesses have also, is the volume of data. The volume of data in terms of passenger footfall generated per year at any particular station, it's hard to know what to do with that. Based on our figures, we have an understanding of expenditure per customer, but knowing how to grow this in terms of our goal was a key factor. Data sources, as I said before, in various formats, which meant collecting and extracting relevant information often proved difficult. If we wanted to report insights into the wider team, we had no single source to do this. Data quality, and I'm sure Axxio will agree, has been a major headache for this project, partly due to the legacy of the estate, which has changed hands many times over the years. As we're dealing with legal contracts, the data has to be precise. Forecasting also proved difficult, as we had no way to test a scenario and see how a decision could impact the estate. So the key outcome for our business was to use the data and information that we already had, which would allow us to undertake a redevelopment of a station, say, which would increase our revenue. So moving on to Greater Anglia before Tableau, our company uses a lot of Excel, like most companies do, and everyone creates their own version of a spreadsheet. Excel is spread across the business, however we don't have one platform for data entry. If we wanted to make a decision on the development of a train station, for talking's sake, we'd sit around the table, someone would print off a plan, we'd try to locate sizes of the property and details of existing tenants from various sources. We would then identify through our rent roll what each tenant was paying and what we thought we could achieve from redeveloping the station. So we're just kind of plucking numbers out of the air almost. And it was a very time-consuming process. So we then looked to finding a viable alternative. So with our committed obligation to grow revenue, it was clear from previous experience that we required an alternative approach. So as part of the tender process, we identified requirements for the implementation of new software. Speed for deployment was one of the key factors. As noted before, we're under very strict timescales to deliver this. It had to be user-friendly, it had to be interactive, something that we could see everything on one platform. So moving on to our choice, one approach that was suggested by a business partner at Axxio was Alteryx and Tableau combined. I'm not sure what programs you're familiar with, hopefully Tableau. Alteryx is the ETL process, the more business logic and data preparation side of things, which works really well in hand with Tableau. So you can automate different data sources which can be consumed by the end user. We liked the fully automated approach that was available online and had an easy-to-use interface accessible by all in the business. This was a key decision. So looking at the solution in action, so we've briefly explained how this works, but now we're going to enter into a bit more detail to see how I would use it in my daily life. So this is the ETL part. I won't discuss Alteryx too much because it's rather substantial and I've been warned not to. So on the left of the screen, you have the data in the form of a PDF floor plan, database extract, and room coordinates. Then you have the big red box in the middle, which is where the mashup happens. This part of the process is where you validate all the information and find errors and need to make sure that the data is correct. All of the information is then pushed to Tableau online, so there is no human intervention here. So what we'll do is I'll show you some scenarios in Tableau as it's presented to the end user, how I would use it. This should give you an idea of how we use it on a daily basis and how decisions are made using the system. So we're now in Tableau. So I'll show you how Tableau is used to help us in our decision-making process. I'll navigate through some dashboards like I would in my job. So it's worth noting, for the purposes of this demonstration, that all the figures have been changed just for privacy purposes. So we'll run through some scenarios. My issue is to add a new tenant in one of our stations to increase rental income. I have with me a list of tenants who are interested in renting space at our stations. I need to make a recommendation regarding the best location and the optimal choice for Greater Anglia, the passengers and the tenant. So say I need to know what retail space we have available at our stations. I remember that I have some space at Billericay station and also at Cambridge. So I want to take a closer look at both of these stations. So I'm going to start with Billericay. So this is the layout of Billericay train station. So that's the main station entrance. The ticket office is just to the left of the blue box on the right-hand side, you can see there. So at the top of the dashboard, I can see the various KPIs associated with this station floor. I can see that the floor generates a revenue of £26,000 per year, and that the station footfall is above 3 million passengers per year. More importantly, what I can see from that is that I have one room available, which is this kind of grey-blue room on the right-hand side there. So to find out where that room is, I can use the legend on the left-hand side. See that demonstrating there that there's no tenant. So now I know that my list of interested tenants, most of them are interested in having 2 rooms at a station. I'm looking at the top of the dashboard. Billericay station only has 1 room available for rent, so I must search someplace else. So if you're interested in how a view like this is built, the view is built using polygons overlaid on top of the floor plan. The process of adding the room coordinates in our data set is done on the ETL process we discussed earlier. So let's focus on Cambridge station, please, and have a look at the second PDF page. So just so you know what's what here, so this is the big white box in the middle there. That's the main entrance into Cambridge station, and to the left-hand side of that, you have the ticket office. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the station. So hovering over the floor plan, we can identify the tenant associated with each room, the rent generated, the duration of the lease start and end date. So I can see that tenant 169 generates most of the rent at Cambridge station. If I want to see all the rooms that tenant 169 is operating in, I can hover over the tree map on the left-hand side. The floor plan has given me a better context than raw numbers. So I now know that a tenant of comparable size of our potential new tenants is generating up to £100,000 of revenue. So I'll now use another view to estimate viable pricing and expected value. So if we go to the recommendation dashboard. So as I said before, Greater Anglia manages many stations, each of which might have several different categories. Depending on the size of the station, some categories are expected to exist and some aren't. Supply and demand, I suppose. A large station, such as Cambridge, is expected to have a restaurant and an ATM and other amenities. So the icons on the left-hand side are here to indicate what's missing in our ideal mix of tenants. So we've only got one offering that's not quite there at Cambridge station, partly due to the restricted size. So each of these images represents one of the main categories of interest that could exist in a station. So I can see that I do not have health and beauty offering at Cambridge. Should I create a new grab-and-go coffee shop, which although would be highly profitable, already exists at the station? Or should I aim to create a missing category? How can I compare them? Can I estimate how much adding a missing category would add to our revenue? So if you look down at the bottom right-hand corner, it says £44,000. This is suggested pricing point. This number is calculated using the average revenue generated by other tenants of this type across the entire estate. So the view on the top right-hand corner allows me to put a station in context and compare it with the rest of the estate in a simple way. This way, I'll be able to check if the pricing of £44,000 is reasonable expectation for my new tenant. So Cambridge is demonstrated by the purple dot, and it seems that Cambridge is the top performing station within its size category. Stations are categorised into groups depending on their size. Group GA1 is stations above 6 million passengers per year. So I wonder what it would be if it was the case if we consider a different KPI here. So again, it seems that Cambridge is the top performing station within its size category for multiple KPIs. On average, a rented room in Cambridge station generates the highest revenue. I should pursue the option and prioritise renting out space in Cambridge. So I'll now change this parameter to category or sub to see how each category behaves compared to other stations. So the pink dots are now the categories that exist in Cambridge. I can see the performance of every Cambridge category as compared to its counterparts. I can see on the graph fast foods and coffee shops in Cambridge are performing significantly better than other stations. If I were to accept a similar strong rentability for a health and beauty shop, I should expect to generate more than £45,000 per year of revenue. So a number above 65 would seem like a good starting point. So before passing my recommendation, I want to explore the possible impact of the above scenario. What will be the impact on the station and overall revenue if I was to add health and beauty in at Cambridge? What would happen if I considered additional changes? So one of the key success factors when it comes to space optimisation is the possibility to test multiple scenarios and to estimate the impact of your choices over time. So let's forecast what it would be like with my tenant. So we go to the forecasting dashboard. So this view allows me to test multiple scenarios and test their impact before making a recommendation. In grey, you can see the current revenue generated at Cambridge. The total is 440,000. So let's display the forecast for Cambridge if we were adding the missing categories, please. So the potential income, if we were adding the missing category, is displayed. Adrian just catching up with me. Yeah, in green at the bottom of the chart. So I can estimate that adding a health and beauty category would push my revenue around to 480,000. As I discovered in my previous analysis, Cambridge is performing better than other stations. So let's estimate the impact of adding health and beauty tenant, but this time with a 50% increase compared to the average rental for this category. So in doing this, we can estimate the total income with this new variable. We bring in an extra 17.5% revenue, as the bottom right corner is suggesting. If we were to forecast the impact of my scenario over the next 5 years, we can see that revenue in 5 years is reaching a total of 559,000 per year of revenue. If Greater Anglia was to achieve an additional 2% extra footfall traffic to our stations, it'd mean a total of £605,000 of revenue for the entire company. So as you can imagine, our data at Greater Anglia was not perfect when we started this project. To make sure we can always rely on our data during the entire process, we have at our disposable a dedicated view. So if we go to the data cleansing dashboard, so this view is displaying all data errors as well as corrective actions required to resolve them. As we can see, we still have 773 errors across 8,000 rooms, which is around 4%. We've decreased our error rate from 15% to around about 4% in only a couple of weeks using this system, so it's a vast improvement. So my recommendation based on this is not to wait for your data to be perfect before starting your project. There'll always be data to be corrected, improved and maintained. Your data should evolve and be updated with the help of Tableau during the entire stage of your project. So if we think about the outcome and benefits to the company, we have looked at the tool and how it is used on a daily basis. Therefore, I'd like to summarise the benefits using Axxio and Tableau combined. One of the main benefits was time. We gained a huge amount of time in our decision-making process with all information available on one screen, with lots of errors in our processes that we were not even aware of. Through this project, we have pulled all the information together, and we now have clear understanding of errors which require attention. As previously explained, our expected forecast growth is 100% over the next couple of years. So by using a tool, such a tool, we are in a far better position to achieve this challenge. Any user within our company can log into Tableau online. Therefore, we all have access to the same information, enabling us to make smart decisions. We were tasked by the DFT to comply with certain regulations, which the system has taken into account, meaning we're now compliant, which is a key outcome of this project. So moving on, in terms of our next steps, we're now fully self-service and can use the tool completely on our own. We'll be receiving dedicated training, so we have no reliance on external parties. Abellio Group, the wider business, have other franchises in the UK, including ScotRail, Merseyrail and West Midlands. So there's a possibility of this being rolled out across the business. So that is all from me. I'd like to thank you for your time. And we'll now have an open session for any questions that you may have on the implementation of this as a business. If you have any technical queries, if you can address them to Adrian, because I'm just a surveyor. So yeah, if you have any questions, guys, feel free. Adrian, from procurement, signing you up to where we are now.
Data cleaning was a bit in the way.
Yeah,
so
that was quite a task, is getting all the information to these guys. Yeah, that was a very difficult bit for me, was Adrian trying to get that information from me, you know, like what format do I give it to him in, you know? Like,
from beginning to end, I would say around 4.
Yes,
How
sir.
many users actually use the dashboard?
So we've got a relatively small team. In my immediate team, there's maybe half a dozen of us. But in the wider asset department, which I fall under, there's maybe about 100 people. So they could potentially have access and use this. But yeah, from our point of view, generating income as a commercial team, very small.
Was there any element of transformation in terms of the willingness of the team, specifically the larger team, to start using this data-driven approach?
I'll be honest, no, because when I look at the system, it actually, in a way, does my job for me. You know, it takes out a lot of the thought process, and so being a surveyor, it's very traditionally you value property. So you carry out evaluation, you look at comparable evidence, you look at, you know, you gather data. but this tool is very much doing that for me. So it could put me out of a job. Or my boss, either or. Yeah. Yes, sir.
It seems like quite a success story, and obviously this is a retail operation.
Yeah.
And they have plans to sort of look at parts of the business.
It could possibly work, yeah. I think, so Greater Anglia, our main focus is operating trains, I'll be frank. Customer service, making sure trains arrive from A to B on time. What we do as a business, commercial property, is a small part of it. But the ideas and the concepts that are behind this, I'd imagine, could be used across the business.
I've got a question about the Enorma.
More passengers would give better retail opportunities.
Yeah.
Or more better retail gives more passengers.
So we have a projected growth on passenger footfall for the next, I think it's the next 9 years, which sees substantial increase in people using trains. So we have identified the key locations, particular stations that we think, have that room to grow, and that we can. One of the difficult things that we have often is we're restricted by our footprint, because traditionally a train station is in amongst everything else. It's been there for many years. So that is one of the things that we find difficult. But what we are looking at also is following suit. TfL have got rid of a lot of their ticket offices, or all of their ticket offices. So we're looking at that side of things as well to free up space. If a ticket office was to close, quite often a ticket office is in the prime location at a station. So if that then became available, that would potentially become a retail space, which would obviously drive a lot of income to us. So we see footfall as the key. We're very different from the high street in terms of our numbers, the rental values. So the rental value at a train station is far higher than the high street. The high street's kind of dipping, Any other questions?
Thank you very much everyone for coming.
Yeah.
Enjoyed the day we might have tonight. And that's it for us. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Cheers, guys.